Hi, this is Stacia, and today we're going to look at a Blitz game that I played on leechess.org. Um, this is going to be part of my miniature series where I look at interesting Blitz games where I feel like uh, they're like very interesting or there's something critical to learn. So let's look at this one. Okay, I played the move e4, and by the way, I was rated 1780 on leechess for this game. My opponent was rated 1860. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to c4. So this is the Italian game. And now black generally will play one of two moves, either bishop to c5 or knight f6. Those are the main two that you'll see. And my opponent did play bishop to c5. This move does allow Evans Gambit, which is what I like to play, with the move b4. So we're offering a pawn here. And yeah, this move looks crazy the first time you see it, but the idea is that we want to play c4, c3, and d4 with a gain of time. And so like, for example, when they take the pawn, we play d4, and in this position they usually take, but if you check it out, the bishop has gone to c5, then b4, and then a5. So the bishop has moved 3 times in the opening, and even though we did sack a pawn, we're going to get rapid development and a strong center. So that's sort of the idea. But in this particular blitz game, my opponent chose this move, bishop to b6, to my horror, declining the gambit. Okay, so this is a real line, you know, Evans Gambit declined is the name of this opening. And I do know that you can play the move a4, which is what I played in the game. And the idea is to play the move a5 and trap the bishop. You might be saying, what? That bishop's not trapped, but you're actually wrong. Like, let's say black makes a normal move. We could play a5, and it looks like the bishop could come here at first, but then c3. Yeah, the bishop is trapped. He'll have to sacrifice now. There's probably a little bit of compensation for this, just due to the king safety, but not much. I mean, we can go rook f1 and king g1 and be snug as a bug in a rug. I have no idea why I just said that. Never said that in my life. Okay, so let's go back. So I am threatening the move a5 in this position, but I'm also thinking about the move b5. Notice that the knight is the sole defender of the e5 pawn. Okay, so my opponent played a6. Turns out this is the main move. He's saying, go ahead and play a5. I will take my bishop away, and everyone's fine. Okay, and here I didn't know theory, and I played the move b5, which is not a good move, but I had an idea, and there's some concrete reasons why my idea doesn't work. So that is what we're focusing on in this particular video. Okay, so the main move is actually knight to c3. This looks rather unnatural to me. Like, we don't normally develop the knight like this in an Evans Gambit. I don't like putting the knight in front of the c pawn. It looks awkward. But the knight is potentially going to jump into d5. And since this knight is here, there's no c6 to kick him away. So I think that's the point of this move. Also, it does help with the bishop maybe attacking the rook with tempo. So I don't know, but it turns out that knight c3, the normal developing move, is the best here. You could also castle, according to the computer. Oh, and I'm seeing there's other moves, like c3 scores well for white. Yeah, so still going for d4. And honestly, I might play it that way. That way that's the most Evans Gambit way to play. But I do know that John Bartholomew played knight c3 in a game I've seen by him. And I remember that because I was like, that move looks weird. But okay. So after a5, a6, and b5, now I'm saying go ahead and move your knight, because if you do, maybe I'll take your pawn. All right, and my opponent took this, and of course I didn't take with the a pawn because I didn't want to lose my rook. So I didn't do that. I moved this way. But you do have to be mindful that the bishop is undefended here. This is still pinned, this pawn. Okay. So I was thinking, it's a blitz game after all. I'm like, hey, I'm going to snatch the knight and grab a pawn. It's a good plan. except when it's not. Okay, my opponent played knight to f6. And I think he's saying, well, if you take my pawn, I'll take your pawn. So I defended it. And after castles, I felt like he was offering me this pawn. So if you'd like to, go ahead and pause your video. Would you take the pawn on e5? And if not, what would you play? Okay, you've already unpaused. All right, so in the game, I did take the knight, and it does turn out that this move is fine. Black takes back, but now actually taking the pawn is in fact a blunder. And there's two reasons. There's two good moves here. Now in the game, my opponent played this move, bishop to d4. And I was like, oh. You hate that feeling in chess, don't you? It's like, oh, I'm lost. He's attacking my knight and my rook. I'm going to lose heavy material here. But even better would have been this move, queen to d4, because now I'm going to lose my knight or my rook or get checkmated. So you might as well add a threat. So queen to d4, very strong. I mean, I would not resign, but I would really want to resign here. I would castle and probably lose my rook. Good position, Stacia. My knight's still under attack. Okay. So it turns out that this doesn't work because of bishop d4 and queen d4. So let's step back for a minute. What if we try to prepare this move? Okay, like I was thinking, all right, maybe I'll go here because then on bishop d4, I'll take it, you know? So let's say black wastes time even, and they just play h6. Can we take the pawn now? Well, actually, no. Because if takes, there is no queen d4, but on bishop d4, my plan of taking is still not good because of this. But wait, I'm looking at the engine and I'm seeing now that we do have a move to save us here. The move queen c1. Okay, I'm not sure I would deliberately go into this plan, but that is a sneaky move, isn't it? Because okay, if we took the bishop, we fall into our old friend here. So we can't do that. So, but queen c1's interesting because it looks like the knight's hanging, but we're actually x-ray defending it through the bishop. So that's kind of pleasant. So queen c1, kind of a cool move. But does the queen belong on c1? I mean, not really. You know. So actually this position's slightly better for black. So let's ask the computer then what the best moves are here. It turns out we should take the knight. Now what's interesting about this to me is it looks unnatural to take this, right? Like we have the two bishops. But the reason we should take the knight is this. If we play castles, black can play this nifty move knight e7. Even knight d4 might do it. But I was just thinking, like, black can play knight e7, and now this bishop it's almost like a reverse Evans Gambit situation. Now black can play c6 and d5, and my bishop's going to be awkward and get kicked around. And it's going to be a strong center and good position for black. So I think that's really interesting that when the bishop is here, not pinning, there is no pin here, and the pawn is still here even, then black could elect to do something like this with this idea. So I thought that was really cool. I'll show you the rest of the game now. There wasn't much. So yeah, it turns out 8 takes b5 was, by me, was not that great. So the bishop must be just not well placed here anyway. So you don't go here unless you're going to take the knight. Yeah, and I went here, here, and wrongly took this. He did fork me. I decided on this desperado. This is correct. I mean, I'm still lost. But if you're going to lose a piece, you might as well do it in style. Notice he cannot take the rook because that would lose. So he has to first take the knight. And at least I've, at least I've created that ugly double pawn structure. But I lost my knight, you know. So after this retreat, yeah, I wrecked black's structure, but I'm just down material here. And also these bishops look really good. This pawn is able to move and trade off even. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to show much more. Yeah, actually fought on pretty good here. But eventually, I do crack, I think. Oh my gosh, I'm wrong. I actually won this game on time. So that's kind of funny. That's very rare for me, by the way. So that's sad that my opponent lost on time to someone like me, who always loses on time. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this Stacia miniature, and I'll be back with more chess. All right, thanks.